Well, good evening and welcome back to this special coverage of the insecurity crisis in the country. It's an ongoing conversation, not just on social media, but right here in studio. We started a little bit earlier on where we were able to highlight the problem that is facing the security sector in the country. According to our panelists, some think it's an issue to do with politicians who have been actually blamed for hiring young men, taking advantage of their exclusion from the economic sector in the country in order to perhaps give support but equally rain terror on their political competitors. Others have pointed fingers on rogue elements within the National Police Service. How do we root it out? Is the Independent Policing Oversight Authority equipped, whether through their budget or manpower, to deal with these rogue elements within the National Police Service? But at the end of the day, as we inch closer to the 2027 general election, a solution must be on the table. But even as we speak of solutions, is a goodwill there from the relevant authorities to rid this menace from our society? Allow me to reintroduce the panelists joining me in studio, and they cut across the security sector, from former police officers to politicians, members of the Fourth Estate. We have the clergy present, equally activists and Gen Zs as well, equally members of the research fraternity. So we'll be able to canvass all the nitty-gritty details, dotting the I's, crossing the T's as we speak solutions as we continue with this discussion. So in studio, we have Boniface Mwangi, presidential aspirant and activist. We equally have Dr. Enoch Makanga, who's the national chairperson of the Protective and Safety Association of Kenya. We have the pleasure of having Dr. Tioko Logiron, who's the Deputy Director, Directorate of Crime Research at the National Crime Research Center. We equally have Pius Masai Mwachi, who's a retired senior police officer. Reverend Dr. Elias Agola, who's the chairperson of the National Council of Churches of Kenya. Eric Odor equally joins us. He's the Secretary General of the Kenya Union of Journalists. Dr. Davis Okombo, a human rights advocate, is equally in studio. Ezekiel Kiama, better known as Mr. Speaker Sir, he's a Gen Z activist. And Gisore Nyabuti, who's a youth leader hailing from Kibra. Asanteni sana, gentlemen, for your patience. This is a very important conversation. And earlier on, we had sampled some of your views. When we come back, we'll just do a round-robin format as you analyze some of the issues that have been raised by the other panelists. If you agree, you disagree, it would be proper to get your feedback. But before we do just that, we have a story that has been themed around this particular conversation. So let's listen to it. Across the country, groups of young men, popularly known as goons, are now being paid to take over premises, land, auctions, debt recovery, and political rallies as well. Their job is to instill fear, intimidate, and cause havoc. Landlords, banks, and auctioneers are no longer calling the police during recovery missions. Instead, they call goons for reinforcement. And as Bentura Kwamboka reports, court orders are openly being ignored and law is slowly replaced by force, begging the question, have police failed in their mandate?
Batons, sticks, arrows, rungus are their weapons. They're either on foot, on motorbikes, or parked in buses. They hide their faces using masks, caps, or balaclavas. They are in their tens or even hundreds. Their mission, men for hire. They are men tasked with a simple job description: instill fear, wreak havoc, while carrying out evictions, demolitions, auctioning of businesses, and turn political rallies into scenes of chaos. These men, mostly youths in their prime, jobless and desperate, are hired by mainly the political class, businessmen, and just anybody flashing money.
For you to get police to respond to your incidents, there's a lot of structured command that you have to follow through. But if you come to outside of police force, you got this private force, you find that they are fast, they are affordable, they are available,
Goonism in Kenya has become a phenomenon institutionalized, vice christened the goon economy.
It is now becoming the modus operandi in Kenya that whenever you need some form of security, then you engage goons.
Goonism has been institutionalized to say that they are available for hire. They know who to contact when they want what, and they can go ahead and give very specific instruction on what to be done.
In a country where unemployment accounts for 67%, these are the most preferred clusters due to their availability and affordability.
Napata wase wa ground wanaita ni aje, nataka ni shughuli fulani, nataka watu 200, nataka wase so wao wanaambiwanga tu the money.
Kila mtu anapigiwa simu, then mabasi zinakuwa basi, so the place je tunaenda tutakuwa huko before hata mwenye kama ni land issue sana sana ilikuwa ya land na ya demolish. Kuna side sasa iko good, serikali yako side yetu, kuna side iko bad.
The sprawling Kibra slums and other informal settlements have turned out to be their recruitment base. While goonism is a national security, in this area it has become a whole ecosystem trickling down to counties.
Kubwa hizo goonism mmoja wao, yeye amesimamia hadi kuenda coast, tunaweza enda hata Kisumu, tunaweza enda Eldoret. Hakuna mahali tuko limited kuenda.
They are very, very well structured and profound consultative structures. They are coordinators, they are hirers, you can call HR directors in those forms, they are mobilizers.
It is a system that has now evolved from street corners into online platforms that openly advertise their legal services.
Unajua sasa hivi tumefika pali lawlessness inaenda mpaka pali if a lawyer wants to do something nini can have a goon. Hadi sasa hivi kuna online marketing wasanafanya wanajita goons for hire.
At times, they even execute orders under police watch.
Polisi wako aware that kulikuwa na function hapo, but I want to take it into like to bring enforcement ama nini. Kuna always two way, kuna more of police goons and also these civilian goons.
While the phenomenon is not new, the rise in goonism is sounding an alarm to Kenyans.
The nation of Haiti, the first president or prime minister, deployed this kind of a tactic. This seems to be a constituent of political elections and items of that nature. Now, what do we see happening in the long run?
Hivi tu venye wanafanya atituma wewe fanya hivi. State of anarchy italeta watu kwa nyumba hizo zao. So, we are not safe, all of us.
And when the state looks away and the might replaces the law, Goons Haven will still remain open for business. Bentura Komboka, KTN.
Thanks, Bentura. You've set the stage for the conversation. Earlier on, we talked about the problem itself and the gaps when it comes to accountability. This time round, we'll try and focus on the solutions that are before us, even as we perhaps react to some of the sentiments that were shared by fellow panelists, and allow us to start those reactions. Boni, is there anything that stands out in terms of what was said a little bit earlier, even as you react to that particular story?
So there's a narrative here that the responsibility for security begins with you, but I do not think so, because as a citizen, I have a social contract with the government. I'll pay my taxes, I will follow the law, and the government will enforce the law. So basically, if I was to enforce the law myself, is to lynch the goon or to do something that is very harmful to that goon. But it's the work of the police to investigate, arrest, and prosecute. So when the government fails, that means that they're telling me to take law into my own hands. Then you have anarchy. So let us to discourage us from saying that mimi usalama unaanza na mimi, wanzi na mimi, inaanza na serikali, kwa sababu wakati hao magoons wanasonga from one area to another area, they lose border, there's number plates, they lose vehicles, there's number plates, there's a way they're paid, there's a money trail of how they're being paid. So basically, the reason why there's goonism in this country, and there's a goon economy because the government allows it to happen. And I think also Parliament has failed, because if the IG of police cannot be able to take command and control of his officers, he should resign. I think basically, and that's what I was actually saying much earlier, that if Kenyans are not safe, then members of parliament should not be safe. MCAs, even the president himself, because basically if they decide that we protect ourselves, I can guarantee you, as a Kenyan, if we cannot go after those goons, we'll start harming, and let me use just harming. We'll go after the goon funders. Because if they come to a community and they destroy or harm any of our members, whoever funds them, they'll find their house in ashes. I'm just giving it a warning to the government. If the government says security starts with me, as a leader, I'm going to tell my people, let's go after the funders. Forget about this person who is stealing the boda rider. Whoever is funding and the beneficiary of this violence, we should go after them.
So are there politicians without guns?
I think there is, because basically I'm a politician. If I move around, there's a vijana or security. So they will not listen very carefully.
How do you differentiate?
Security,
na
they're protecting you and making sure that you're safe. Because in this Nairobi, when I ran for Member of Parliament for Starehe in 2016, 2017, you cannot go to a slum without paying protection money. You cannot go to Kibera slums today. Uingie Laini Saba, uingie Katukwera, uingie Ayani, wezi ingia bila
kuna vijana wenye town sasa.
Kuna wenye, now if you do not pay them protection money, they will rob your people and they can even rape the women that you're with. So basically you pay protection money. And it's understandable. It's unwritten somewhere that you must pay that. However, they do not come to harm you. They're saying to komboka, to acheki tu. Now the problem is when politicians hire goons on a moment mboka, so you're given 300, 500 shillings, but you're told, well, you're out there protecting me or causing violence in my name, please steal, please loot. That's your payment. It's basically how the police are employed and pay 24,000 shillings. Then they're told, go and extort Kenyans and pick bribes as part of your salary. So it's expected. The same way goons come and rob citizens, it's the same way police officers collect bribes from Kenyans as part of their salary.
And even before we move on, there are instances where we saw either the president or high-ranking leaders leave a political meeting, and that's when the goons cause mayhem. As they're leaving, irrespective kama wamelipwa, hawajalipwa, they take advantage.
Because when the president calls for a meeting, he does not have the clout to get crowds. So he'll hire people to come and listen to the rally. So a rider will come with two passengers, 2 pillions. They come. When they're leaving the rally, they'll pay 1,000 bob per person. Maybe that's 3,000 shillings. But on their way home, they'll find women with their phones. They'll find a place they can rob. So basically, the economy of goons, as I said earlier, benefits the government of this country. If the government wants to get rid of goons, we know who they are.
Okay.
And we know where they live. And their faces are all over. Like when these stories that you're showing right now, we can see their faces very well. And the president of goons in Kenya is Ruto.
Pius, usalama inaanza nawe kweli?
Actually, I just want to echo what my colleagues have said and what he is saying in terms of safety and security and how to curb the goons and criminals. If you may allow me, maybe, I want to highlight what I thought and what I think that we can do so that we can bring this country back to where it was many years back. Speaking from my perspective as a peace support operations senior officer with the United Nations, I've been to many missions. And you remember when Kenyans were going to Haiti, I told the Kenyan people, let us not do politics. Let us allow the police to go. They'll come back safely, and they came back safely. So on this context of the criminality and criminism in Kenya, if we can adapt what I'm just going to focus on, and I want my colleague to react on this, in terms of create jobs and skills, vocational training and support for youth businesses to give a real alternative to crime. You know, you must have something. Even in the United Nations, you advise that you give an alternative so that somebody can move away from criminality or goonism. Enforce the law consistently. You know, consistently means what? They'll tell you. It's not about enforce now. You wait for the president to say, or the CS to say, no. The law is very clear. I'm a police officer. I retired, but I did not leave the law. I did not leave the books. They are with me here. I know. They can tell you these people, they're afraid also. It says what the police to do. It's not for the president to tell me what to do if I'm a police officer, or the CS, or even who. Every police officer has the capacity. So, if enforce the law consistently means arrest and prosecute both leaders and foot soldiers. No selective justice. And point number 3, strengthen community policing. Police working with elders, nyumba kumi, and chiefs to build trust and faster reporting. It's not just going to say nyumba kumi. Nyumba kumi for what? What are they doing? They must work for the people.
Okay.
Number 4, ban political use of goons. Strict enforcement of election political party laws to politicians can't hire youth for intimidation. You know, they hire them to come and intimidate, or they create crowds. For what reason? Number 5, speed up the justice system, special courts and reduced case backlog. So crime has real, quick consequences. The Chief Justice has to do that with this system.
Can I quickly add that there's so many young people in this country facing terrorism charges and they're not goons.
It is true.
And I'm one of them.
It is true. That's why investigation must serve the purpose, not just casing. That's why I answered some questions before that. You cannot just call somebody with a cover the face that's a police officer. They are not police officers. These are goons. These are criminals. Because police officers must be identified. You know what means identification? Okay, thank you, sir. And then number 6, invest in education mentorship, after school programs, sports, arts, and mentorship to keep youth engaged at off the streets. Watoko street. Why an alternative? Siku hizi hata kuna masomo ya technology through online. Na wanapata kazi tu. Provide exit and rehab programs. Number 7, amnesty, counseling, IT support, and job placement for those who want to leave goons or criminality. Number 8, ensure fair resource distribution. Kugawa vijana pesa, for me that's not good. Pesa sifanye kazi miradi. Lakini kwa pesa kwa matanga wanapanga laini wanapewa vijana 10 wanaenda kungoja hata ile wamepewa wanaenda kungoja kunyang'anya ile mwingine. Look at that. It's wrong. Number 9, tackle drugs and substance abuse. Hiyo madawa. Angalia vile zimeongezeka. Sasa vile pesa hakuna, madawa zimekuwa nyingi sana. Kila mtu anakimbilia kutafuta bangi, kutafuta kitu ya kuuza, ndio apate pesa.
The drug barons in government.
Naona sasa. You know, sasa anajua. Kwa sababu kuna interconnection. Then wale watu wanahusika ndio tusilaumiane, washikwe.
Okay.
Si ni kweli? Number 10, civic education and public awareness. Teach rights, peaceful ways to demand services, and make goonism social unacceptable. Let us not accept goonism and criminality in this country. Thank you. Hey. And let everyone be responsible and accountable. So whole society approach is about everybody doing something to eradicate criminality. It's not about the police. It's not about him or the president. That's why I always tell the people that, why can't the people work? Watu wako chini maandiko kazi. So kule kalamu wale wafanye kazi. Thank you.
But every market has a madman. So how do we pick out the criminal elements? But anyway, proceed. Yeah.
Thank you very much indeed, Jesse. And I would like to close ranks with my comrade Boniface about the issue of security. And I agree that it doesn't start with me, and I would be able to qualify that. That said, Jesse, I really respect my fellow panelist, and I think he did a lot of work in disaster management, and I think he even got a presidential honor for that. But now when it comes to human rights and violation of human rights, we cannot look at the face of Mama Pendo in Kisumu, whose 6-month-old daughter was killed by the police, and 9 years later, no justice for this little girl. We cannot look at the mother of Rex Masai and talk about all these golden plans that we have and so on. We cannot look at Mama Winnie, the wife to Dr. Kiza Besigye, who was abducted right here in Nairobi, and now he's really suffering in Luzira prison under General Muhoozi. We cannot look at the faces of these people and try to justify what the police are doing. We know very clearly, Jesse, that the Constitution gives a mandate to the police in issues of security, and the Constitution is clear that in doing so, they must observe human rights. You see, and therefore, we cannot now say that security should begin with us. No, that's a constitutional mandate that is given to the police. And let me say clearly that in any country that we see the emergence of goons, where, as your fellow reporter has mentioned, they collect rent and so on and so forth, that is the first characteristic of a failed state. It happened in Kabul, in Afghanistan. It happened in Mogadishu, in Somalia. And it has started to happen right here in Nairobi. And we are in this panel trying to sanitize the police. We must call out the government and state clearly that this is a governance failure, and we must make them know that they are failing the people of Kenya, and this message should reach the topmost office of this country. We cannot afford to play around with issues of our security. These are constitutional guarantees, and we demand security. We demand that the government must provide security, and we cannot say that this is not the work of IG. What is he being paid for? We cannot say this is not the work of CS for Interior. What does the law say? What are their duties? That is why I think I want to disagree on a very serious note with my colleagues who seem to suggest that the IG is so powerful you don't want to touch him. No, we tell him if he cannot provide security, let him step down. We cannot play around issues of our personal safety. Thank you.
Yeah, and perhaps less rhetoric, more action. Mr. Speaker, sir, there's a case ongoing, even as you react to what has been said. We saw you in court. We just had Boni saying some people were actually charged on trumped-up charges, be it matters to do with terrorism and whatnot. If you feel free to give us details of your case, kindly do so.
What I would like to say is that vijana wengi, acha nianze na vijana wengi, because mimi ni kijana.
Yeah.
They are suffering here outside. Kesi zenye haziko. There's nothing like obstruction. I've never had it. There's destruction of property. Property gani uli destruct? You can never carry a fence. Where's the fence? So many Kenyans here outside are suffering because, number one, they don't have the money, the capacity to pay lawyers to come and stand for them. And that's why we see some politicians like Babu Owino and others, Manzo, they come and help those young men. Because our vijana, charges zenye wanaekelewa hapo, ni kesi zenye haziko. Boni has a case of terrorism. Tulimuona wapi akiwa terrorist. Many vijana wengi sana wameekelewa makesi. They are behind bars. Many wako hapo wameekelewa makesi zenye hatukuona zikifanyika, hatukuona wakifanya. Yet watu wale wanafanya hizo the crime scenes tunawaona vizuri, wako kwa cameras, but the police do not want to arrest them. Yet the work of the police is to maintain law and order, protect lives, and investigate crimes, investigate criminals. Yet tukitoka nje, ashajua mimi ni criminal, so ashanichukua, ashanieka ndani. Yet the criminal mwenye anaambiwa wamemlipa sasa, wakamwambia enda chapa Mr. Speaker, ama enda chapa Boni, juu ametokea kwa streets, anaenda kusema what the government is doing is not right. What we need from the security sector is accountability. Where is the accountability? We are asking them questions. They don't want to be asked questions. Hawataki kuulizwa maswali juu tukiuliza hivyo wanakasirika. Tukiuliza IG, tukiuliza Murkomen, wanasema, hao vijana wanainua vichwa, kwani wanadhania wao ni kina nani? Warudi chini. So ndo maana watakutumia ule msee ama wale wase wawalipe wakuje kukuchapa wewe. Na hiyo ni mbaya.
Kesi yako inaendeleaje?
Si mbaya.
Ala. So evidence hakuna. Unasema
evidence hakuna.
Okay.
Destruction of property 40 million. Uliona nikiharibu 40 million.
Okay. Proceed. You can react to what has been said.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jesse. I joined later, and therefore I didn't have the privilege of listening to what the others said. However, the issue of goonism in Kenya is becoming alarming. On the issue of insecurity and branding people to be terrorists and causing a little bit of a belief that Kenya is stable when we know it is not, is becoming very worrying. I would like to say that whenever something happens, we may be dealing with the symptoms, because insecurity, goonism is a symptom of some underlying truths that we do not want to face. And the truth of the matter is that Kenyans are meeting their sides of the bargain, that is giving their taxes and ensuring that we have a government. But when governments are put in place, they begin to work against the people by doing what we are seeing, sponsoring goons, having to protect some people, to destroy lives of others, maiming those who would want to say we have a displeasure of 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I think we need to go back to the drawing board as a country and ask ourselves, what is it that we would like to see? How do we want to live in this country? How do we want to live with dissenting voices? Are we going back to the 1990s when people are being sent back to, or I mean sent outside Kenya to seek asylum because of their dissenting voices? Do you want to have scenarios where even before the independence, we had state-sponsored terrorism, which was, maiming people and causing people not to raise their voices? Are we going to be in a country where the state appears to be destroying lives instead of protecting lives? Are we going to be in a country where people talk anyhow, whole abuses anywhere, and are not responsible for whatever they say? Are we in a country where we pass on blames here and there and say it is them, it is not us, while we know very well that for any system to fail, there are contributors. And when we point to ourselves and say, yes, there is a portion of blame that is given to a particular group of people or group of leaders, then there is also another portion that we own. From there, we shall be saying, then let us reconstruct our country. Let us wake up to the reality that on the wake of 2027 general elections, we need to call ourselves to order. We need to ask ourselves, is this the country we would want to have? Because when it starts 1 year before, and we see what we are seeing, of course, let me put it this way. What happened in 2024, June, is the same as what happened in 2025, June. Because what happened, there is always this anniversary, which is going to take place every time. This year it was there. Now, are we seeing ourselves in 2027 having in June these anniversaries, while in August, a time like the time we are going to, we'll be having elections? What kind of a country are we going to have? I believe that everybody in the country has a right to become a leader in any sphere, whether corporate, religious, or in politics. And I believe that we all have the same space that we have given ourselves through our constitution. And those who are given that privilege to lead us should not be the same people who are pinning us down and causing us endless nights of sorrow. Bonnie here suffered, Mr. Speaker here suffered, and they are representatives of very many people who have suffered in the hands of those who are supposed to protect them. I would like to say that much as we point fingers at other people, we should also ask ourselves, what has been our contribution to this?
Interesting. And allow us to take a short commercial break, just briefly. We'll be back with you because according to research, he's just mentioned we might not be treating the disease itself, but the symptoms. So we'll speak about the disease, the recommendations you've done through your research in order to nip this at the bud. You're watching the Insecurity Crisis Town Hall. We take a short break. We'll be back in a few. Keep it right here. You're watching the live town hall on the insecurity crisis in the country. We continue with the deliberations right here in studio. In case you're just joining us, we've canvassed the problems when it comes to accountability and all that. So right now we're trying to look at the solutions, even as we do a round-robin sort of approach, just to get the views of the panelists and whether they agree or disagree with what has been said so far. So Daktari, as the Crime Research Center, speak to us. So we wouldn't want a scenario where we're trying to cure the symptoms and not the problem itself. So start with the causative effects and perhaps some of the recommendations you've put.
Very well. From the center, we try to understand the cause and effect and the criminogenic factors which cause crime. First of all, before I talk of the factors, research indicates that there is a conveyor belt. There is the actors and the person who are being used to necessitate the process of crime. So that shows you that there is someone who is benefiting from that organized criminal gang, either positively or negatively. But before I go into that, our 2025 study indicated that there are 18 factors that are attributed to the organized crime. Top on the list on the factors that are contributing to the proliferation and resilience of criminal gangs is peer pressure and influence. I started by saying that the most people who are vulnerable and susceptible to organized crime are the youth between 18 and 35 years. That means there should be a peer pressure. There are push and pull factors that are forcing the youth to be part of the criminal gang. Following that is what we call the vulnerability, unemployment, poverty level, availability of illegal drugs, poor support family system. And if you look at the political organized crimes, it takes not the higher percentage. That tells us that there is the dynamism in terms of the politically influenced crime. It happens only during elections. Therefore, from our study, we have indicated that crime is a shared responsibility. We need to look at what factors are driving this organized crime. The study indicates that the rate of unemployment takes, number one, 81% of the causes of crime, followed by alcohol and drug abuse, idleness among the youth, and poverty. From the center, our studies recommend that there is a need of empowering our youth by creating jobs for them. There is a need of strengthening family ties and communities. Our children require mentorship. There is a need of combating drug and alcohol abuse. We need to support victims of crime, whereby there is a need of establishing an integrated one-stop victim support services. When one moves out of prison, they require support to reduce the rate of recidivism. Then that takes me to the factor of how do we engender the criminal gangs? We did not see a criminal gang that is women associated. The study indicated that it's men who are prone to organizing themselves into criminal gangs. Okay. We also recommended that there is a need of promoting safe urban development. Then the strengthening of a multi-agency partnership whereby all stakeholders should be brought together to see how we can improve crime. Therefore, there is a need of providing a safe community that is not built through arrest. We need to create opportunities for our youth to strengthen our family ties, empower communities, so that we take crime as a prevention as an everyone's responsibility. To the issue of security starting with us. I started by saying there should be a cartel. Someone is benefiting from this activity. That tells us that these criminal gangs are commodified. There is the monetary value attached to these activities.
Okay.
Someone has commodified and commercialized this activity. The ringleader gets something out of that. It's a way of them generating revenue. How do we cut the pipe? We cut the pipe by saying that wewe umechorea mtu. Wakati unachorea mtu, ukimaliza kuchorea watu, the next person wa kuchorea ni wewe. You will be in the chopping board. So before you go to the chopping board, see how you can take care of yourself by not becoming a cartel, not sharing information, and being your brother's keeper. Thank you.
Well, prevention is better than cure, but still with him, because how many of these recommendations have actually been acted upon? You're based under the Interior Ministry. Is there goodwill to bring in these recommendations and act on them?
Yes.
How many have been acted on?
I cannot quantify them for now, but I can mention what the center has done that has been actualized in terms of policy. For us, we pride by saying we shape crime through research. From our studies, if you look at the improvement of the bail terms, the recent CPC that is being worked on, recidivism, the victimization study in the informal sector, we've shaped different policies, different issues by issuing policy briefs that are now improving and being taken with the seriousness it deserves.
Well, I hope so, because we're not short of policy. Implementation is the issue.
Sure.
Well, I'll be coming back to you.
Very well.
Okay. Edward.
Thank you. I said that, number one, I want to start, maybe we didn't operationalize what do we mean by security. Because in any society, we've got civic obligations. As citizens, we've got obligations in the governance structure of our country. You look at the face of our parliament, and you are saying that they are supposed to hold executive accountable. Are you sure they can? Just look at the people we vote to put in parliament. Because if you got a government or executive that is not working, you expect that our parliament, or both National Assembly and the Senate, are going to hold them accountable. Look at the face. That is why I say the security begins with you. Let us not just look at it in terms of your safety, but in terms of the decisions that you make, because that is where we are. So look at the face of a parliament and tell me if you have got confidence that that parliament can hold executive accountable when something, because if in a democracy, you will expect that parliament could have summoned the executive just to tell us what is going on. Do they have that capacity? But even some of the people we put in that parliament, can they stand up and ask those questions to do with crime? I think some of them cannot, because they are guilty as charged. That is number one. Look at our judiciary. Sometimes people are taken to court on flimsy grounds and they play ball. Look at what is happening right now. In 2018, there is a law that was passed, Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act. Ourselves, Kenya Union of Journalists and Bloggers Association of Kenya, we went to court, to the High Court, and we told the High Court that there is a problem here. This law is going to be a problem here. The High Court disagreed with us, said that that law is very good and it's going to work perfectly and is going to help us as a country. Fast forward to 2024, then we went to Court of Appeal. When judiciary started seeing a number of cases being filed in court on flimsy ground to take Gen Zs and youth in court on section 23 and 24 of computer misuse on the Cybercrime Act on publication of false information, then judiciary started agreeing with that there is a problem now. At least, in fact, we are now agreeing we are seeing a problem here. This law is bad. That's when they start acting. So the problem you're having in this country is the systems that we put in place to ensure that we are able to run a country. And that begins with us as civilians, that we need to check, but are these people we put in office to oversight some of these things doing their job? And that's now the media, we come in and try to highlight some of the things that are happening. But what happens sometimes, you see when the media is out trying to do this, then the media start experiencing attacks intimidation and harassment even of journalists. Some of us, sometimes you are harassed because of the work you are doing to hold these institutions to account and to ensure that they are doing their job, because that is what is happening. If you look at how our governance looks, that is who we are as a country. The issue of goons and crime that we are seeing, that is who we are as a country, because people have refused to do their job. If you look at the goons and the hired youth, if you go to these rallies or even public functions, there are two groups here. There is a number one, there's a group that is usually hired by politicians to provide security. And sometimes some of them are harmless. They go there to do the job that have been given to them by politicians. But there is a group actually of now criminals who know very well that there is a public function there. Jesse will be coming there with his expensive phone, and therefore I have to go and see how I'm going to steal that phone from him. I'm going to see how I'm going to snatch or take wallets from people's pockets, because they know that there is a public function and people are going to go there. So maybe this youth who provide security, they may be harmless. Yeah. But you'll find that within that setup, we have got criminals who will take advantage of that. That's now where the police come in, so that they ensure that they are able to intervene and ensure that the criminals who take advantage of public functions are actually apprehended and arraigned in court and action taken against them. But we have got systems that are not working. So where did the rain start beating us? Is when we try to put people in office who are incompetent and who can't do their jobs. And then our systems of accountability also come and fail. So when they fail, there's nobody to ask these tough questions. And that's why many a times you'll find media houses are now being attacked by politicians and those people in the government, because they are holding government to account and asking very tough questions that the people do not want them to be asked. Because the question of accountability is not a very palatable question or a debate that anybody will want to have. And when the media try to do this, you see that the government comes with different policies to ensure that they put brakes on what the media is doing. They come up with the advertising policy to ensure that they deny the media revenue that the media gets to run their activities. They come up with they hire bloggers, they hire people to go online warriors to make sure that they attack journalists, so the journalists feel intimidated and they don't do jobs. So what we need to do, that we are having elections next year. And I think this is the question that we're supposed to be asking ourselves. Is this the way we want our country to be governed in the coming years or not, or we want to and we have got that responsibility to make sure that you say, okay, enough is enough. And that starts from the MCA you are going to elect from the ward level. Is this MCA going to hold the governor accountable, or the MCA is going to form a company to do business account to government? You see, that's the problem. Yep. Then it comes all to the way to the parliament. We're having members of parliament who are going to legislate and also going to hold executive accountable, and to ensure that we do not have laws passed by members of parliament that are going to harm Kenyans, like I've said, Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act that has been used to take so many youth in court. Then it goes to the governors. We're having governors who are going to ensure that the resources that are devolved are helping Kenyans, because again, that's where the problem is, because if a governor comes to a funeral in your village, okay, everything comes to a standstill. And these are the governors who will come with the hundreds of youth. Nowadays, they get them on motorbikes to come there and harass everybody. Anybody who is believed maybe to have political ambitions, actually you will be shouted down and nobody even hears your good policies you want. And it comes all the way up to the national leadership. So as citizens, we have got responsibility to ensure that our country is governed in a manner that actually responds to the preferences of the people. Otherwise, if we think that these responsibility ones in the social contract theory, where we've surrendered all this to our leaders and we do not hold them to account, I think that is where the problem is. So okay, in all these problems, this is a societal problem, even if it comes to the issues of jobs, because I think, like you said, it's true that the crime actually is a result of lack of jobs. People are looking for how they can eke out a living, but they can't because there are no jobs. Are we putting in leaders who can ensure that instead of getting jobs for the youth and growing the economy to absorb the youth, we are getting leaders who want to hire the youth every weekend to accompany them to political rallies, or leaders who are working towards policies and laws that are going to create jobs for these youth? So that is the disconnect that we have as a country. But once we start having that conversation, I think we will have a very good country.
All right, let's hear from Gisori, because at the end of the day, communities know their problems and often have local level solutions. So as a youth leader in Kibra, what is that one practical immediate step that you think if we could take it, it would enhance security or the state of affairs in the country?
On my side, I think most of the youths, they are still organized in community-based organizations or self-help groups. So it's high time we start seeing how financial support can trickle down to these people and they start doing entrepreneurship and or start investing. Because we are having this state because they don't have anything else to lose. So even if it's coming to destroy or burn some businesses, they don't have their business there. They're not seeing themselves in the business. So it's high time we start seeing how this thing can trickle down with the financial support. And at the same time, it's high time we, as a country, we need to address our issue. You know, we're electing, in our perspective, we want to elect leaders, but we're electing politicians. Politicians come and play politics to us. It's high time we start electing leaders, because with the leaders, we will not be asking such questions. We will not be having such forums, because the leader will know, I've come here to serve the people. I've not come here to enrich myself and my generation. I've come here to make sure that everything goes well. In Kenya, we have best policies in the world, but implementation is the problem. When you come to these policy makers, their own ideology is about enforcement. They don't think about engaging these people to come with a communal way of doing things. So we find we have a problem because they are making laws and thinking they'll come and enforce them to the people, yet the people who are coming to enforce them, they're still not agreeing with the laws. And at the same time, these people, they're the ones who are making, poverty right now, it seems like a cash thing, because they're making you intentionally not to have money. Then on the election period, they come with a lot of this bundle of money. And when they give you, these people are desperate. They are doing it out of necessity. If they don't do some of the things, they'll not eat. And for not in a good way, but for the people, you find they take another aspect where they say, rather than for me to go and steal a phone and be burnt or mob justice, why don't I go with this idea of the politician? Then ajilipe akikuja, you see. So now there is also where we have another problem. People start breaking other people's shop. Juu anaangalia atajilipa na unga ya ule mwingine. So also there, the perspective that these politicians are putting to our people, it's on the bad thing. And we only have this country to live on. We can learn from the refugees that we are hosting here in Kenya. And it's a bad thing. And if we lose this country, the politicians have the money to go to Dubai, to other places. But what about the poor people? What about the other 50 million Kenyans who cannot survive outside the thing that they are doing? Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Makang, how do we leverage on the private sector security reach in order to ensure that we deal with this issue?
Okay, I'll address this issue from a different perspective. I was able to meet, let me say 2 weeks ago, I met some investors from Dubai who own serious hotels in Dubai, and they were interested in coming to Kenya, and we were with them in Mombasa. And one thing that came out, they were able to face me and tell me, Enoch, let me tell you, Kenya has the best human resource in hospitality in the whole world. You want the best hotelier, you cannot get it in Uganda, you can't get it in Tanzania, you can't get it in Rwanda, you can get it in Kenya. Then I keep on wondering that if at all we have made that good name in hospitality globally, yeah, why is Hilton Hotel still closed? Why is Intercontinental Hotel still closed? You see, the jobs that were lost at Intercontinental Hotel, I'm telling you, they were just enormous jobs that were lost at Intercontinental Hotel, and as we are speaking right now, Hilton is still closed up to now. I was in Tanzania last month. We have an event called Kili Fair, the biggest tourism event in Tanzania. I mean, I was able to see more than 50 hotels, new hotels being built. And the question that I was being asked, I asked these investors, why are you guys building hotels in Tanzania and not in Kenya? And they told me Kenya is a very good destination, but we have a problem. Yeah, I go to the government wants me to have 20 licenses. I go to the county council the county government, they also wanted me to have 20 licenses. So, Enoch, I'm supposed to have 40 licenses. To hell with you guys, with your licenses. We better go to Tanzania, we better go to Zanzibar, where I only have one license and I'm able to move on. If at all the government can be able to allow hotel investors who want to come to East Africa, who want to come to Kenya, simply because naturally, we're very good tourists, we are a best tourist destination in the region. But the problem is we are not taking advantage of that. So because we are not taking advantage of that, these guys are now moving up to other destinations. Now that has a very serious consequence. The consequence is we have no jobs. The jobs are going to other regions. So if the government can be serious and ensure they allow these guys to come and invest, they are the only guys who can create what? Who can create jobs. And I can tell you, if at all we could just say NYS, these guys who are in NYS, we train them on hospitality. And these guys are, we call these guys from the cruise ships to come over. I can tell you all the cruise ships all over the whole world are looking for Kenyans. They are looking for Kenyans, not any other person in Africa. So these are what we call open opportunities that are there for this government, but somebody's sleeping on the job. Somewhere is sleeping on the job. Now, when we come on security, I have 3 things I want to mention. Number 1, the question of police accountability. We've had a problem where so many people have died, and when it's being investigated, they just goes like this. Like now, that gentleman who died, and this police officer is saying, "It's not me, it's not me," because he was putting on civilian, and even the case is in court. Yeah, police must put on police uniform as required when it comes to international policing. Let them put on uniform so that. And the guns they are given, so that if there's a problem in shooting, we're able to know this gun was given to Enoch, or the cartridges can be taken for evaluation, and then it's found it's me who shot this person. But because people want to do bad things, that's why they are putting on, they are trying to camouflage their faces. They don't want to be seen by members of the public. They want to, because what they are doing is criminal.
So how do we enforce that?
That's what we are saying.
The law courts have tried, they've failed. How do we ensure?
That's what we are saying. Somebody must strike. The IG must say no. The deputy IGs must say no. You guys must follow the law. Because there's no question of us breaching water, and on this side we are drinking wine.
Okay.
Because if we do that, I think Kenya is going to be in a problem, and Raya will take they will take the law into their hands, like what happened in Olekalau. Second thing is the issue of community policing. We've talked about community policing, nyumba kumi. Let me tell you, this thing, I worked for the president in Uganda as an advisor for 5 years. It has worked very effectively in Uganda. It has worked very effectively in Rwanda. You cannot go to Rwanda and you stay 1 week before the local headman of that village has known that there's a foreigner who has come. But look at Kenya. You go to a place like Kitengela, people, you will get guys from Southern Sudan, you will get guys from where everybody's there, you can't know who is doing what. These are the problems that are making us get into serious security problems, because we've not been able to implement this thing called community policing. We do it from the hotels. They will talk from Office of the President, Minister of Interior. Yes. My friend, this thing cannot be done in hotels. It's supposed to be done at a local sub-chief level.
Okay.
The sub-chief knows who is a new person. He knows who is a criminal. He knows whose son is misbehaving. And the OCS can be able to pick it up. Number 3, we're talking about modernized investigations, where right now, I'm telling you, with the cameras we're having right now, I don't think, Jesse, you can do anything. I mean, with AI, nothing. These guys, they can get hold of you, and it will say it is Jesse who did this thing. So police should now start thinking that line of AI. They should be taken to, people should go to school. This cybercrime unit should be able to be expanded up to a level where we can see these things at county level. I don't want to see a case where Mama in Kakamega can come and say, I've lost my phone. And then she's told, you know, your phone can only be investigated by CID headquarters. You mean Mama from the ground has to come to CID headquarters simply because we are tracking her phone? We are tracking her phone. If at all we are able to find out the number of the phone, the number of the mobile phone, the manufacturer number of that phone, my friend, there's nowhere you will go. Like right now as we are speaking, the video we just seen of Kayole, where these guys went in what? They went in a saloon, and they took a phone. I'm telling you, if you have a phone, especially this that phone they are mentioning, today we should already know where that phone is. But because people are not serious, every OCS is sitting in the office, he thinks things will just work the way they want to work. And that has put us in a very awkward position where now criminals are saying, I think so, I can be able to do this and the police will not be able to get me. Then lastly, we've had a problem where people, like what happened in the church in Kisumu. Very good example. The OCS knew very well that the opposition was having a meeting in Kisumu. So what did he do? The question of police being proactive, then they are being reactive. I think if the police can become proactive, look at things from a criminal perspective. We are having a rally. If you're having a rally, like the one we had for Sifuna in Bungoma, you as the person in charge of Bungoma police, it means you request the other police officers from other county commanders to bring you more police officers so that you have enough men, boots on the ground to be able to deal with this issue. Because you have a big rally within your background. But now what happens? Police are just seated. So they are waiting for people to go and attack the church, to attack All Saints Cathedral. Then after the event has happened, is now when these guys are coming. We are investigating. Now, like what happened in Orikalau. You want to tell me the 1,000 police officers, none of them saw these guys shooting? None of them saw that these guys who are shooting are not police officers? Yeah? It's simply because people are being proactive and reactive instead of being proactive. And police work cannot be done like this. Police work internationally, you must be able to work on intelligence. And how you work on intelligence is you map your area where you are the OCS or the county commander. If you know there's a function, put guys in civilian, let them get there, yeah, to understand what is happening, so that they help the government to be able to counter criminality. But now, unless we do that, we create jobs for these guys. And I've given them a very good example. We have the best talent in the whole world in hospitality. Let the government take advantage of this thing so that they are able to take some of these youth and then take them outside. Lastly, the issue of us taking students, children to universities and doing degrees that are not marketable, degrees that cannot be able to help anybody. Like now, you are setting a degree in anthropology. Where will you get a job in this world? Where will you get a job in this world? Yeah? Anthropology means you will study bonds. So the issue here is we must be able to take students, our children to school, but now I'm telling you, there are other degrees in Nairobi University or these other universities that are useless. You will get that degree and you can even get a job of a sweeper. So if we take that direction, I can tell you most of these youth will get jobs, and I'm telling you, there's a big opportunity unexploited that is waiting for us in cruise ships, but we have nobody to take it there, simply because the government has refused. Or whoever has been given that job has refused to be able to advise the government on how do we exploit these opportunities that are there. I wish they would give me some of these jobs. I could finish these guys and we make sure this youth, Mr. Speaker, should be having a job right now, straight away, without wasting time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Proceed.
Thank you very much, Jesse. And with a lot of humility and respect, allow me to interject on one or two issues, because this is a serious issue and I'm sure the government is watching and they can implement some of our recommendations. Number one, Uganda and Rwanda are not the best examples when it comes to policing. Everyone knows what General Muhoozi is doing in Uganda. Everybody knows what Museveni is doing in Uganda. We had our own Bob Njagi in the basement of General Muhoozi. We remember Boni, what he suffered in Tanzania, and so on. So these are not best examples at all. And this is why we fought for 2010 a constitution which was supposed even to abolish the provincial administration, but which unfortunately was brought back through the back door. And now we have the county commission and so on and so forth. Number two, it is not the best strategy to have our young people going to Dubai and Qatar and wherever you want to take our young people. Let us create decent jobs here in Kenya. We all know what goes on in the Arab world. The violations are well documented, and we have to stand and retain the dignity of the people of Kenya, ensure that we have decent working conditions right here in Kenya. And lastly, Kenya is facing a crisis in education, especially high education. And of course, we have a lot of funding deficit for both public universities and the TVET and so on. However, it is unacceptable when we state that certain courses are useless or not marketable and so on. Remember, there are about 293 learners that are going to join universities in September, and when we begin telling them that the courses you are going to pursue are useless, university education is important, and as a person in the academic world, we have to defend this very, very clearly.
So are all our courses marketable?
Well, it depends on what we mean by marketable and so on and so forth. But what is important is that any course that has been approved by the Senate and the Council of Education has really approved it, we have to respect that and ensure that we have an economy that is able to create jobs and so on. And this goes back to the whole issue of governance, failures in the governance that we need to correct. Thank you.
Okay, and Mwachi, even as you come in.
Just a quick one. The jobs we are talking about in Dubai are not the maid jobs.
Okay.
The jobs we are talking about, these are hotel jobs where you are employed as a front office manager, you are employed as a waiter, and these guys earn more than $1,000, $1,500 to $2,000.
Perhaps he was approaching from the brain drain scenario.
So
where
we have two types of jobs. This one, the people normally go there. They are the ones who are going to be maids and what have you. Not those we are talking about. We are talking about hospitality jobs where you are hired directly by the cruise ships and you are paid. You go and work for 6 months. You are paid like around 300,000 per month. And then after 6 months, you come back home.
Okay, then, back to security.
Then on security, I want to differ with him. I'm not talking about Mozi. I'm not talking about Museveni. I'm talking about the ground community security. That's what I'm talking about in Uganda. What happens is if I visit you, just and you're in Uganda, immediately I arrive, you have to take a copy of my ID, you have to take it to the LC1. LC1 is the person who knows within this area, we've got one visitor, Pius Masai, he will be with us for 1 week. Yeah? And he's coming to visit his relative, something like that. Now here, the problem we have here is that if you go to our communities, you will find that there are so many people who are here, and some of them are criminals, simply because we're not able to identify who is who.
So Nyumba Kumi is...
yes. So Nyumba Kumi has not been able to work with us here properly.
Fair enough. We have to push the conversation forward. We're taking the final comments. I can see a couple of hands up. Perhaps you can start with the gentleman in front before we move over to the others.
My colleagues here, present panelists, let us move this country forward. I want to address the president and the Kenyan public, I inclusive. We have research-based. They have told us that crime and goons are influenced by politicians. It is true. To fix this, let the president, the way he spoke, that let them be dealt with and done away. Let all politicians do the same. Even the religious, Ogola is here, Dr. Kola will address that. We need everybody to do away with that. Issues dealing with the police. You see, any clip, one clip being seen on TV, people armed in the city of Nairobi, it just gives Kenya a negative, and everybody says he'll not go to travel to Kenya, even Nairobi. And Kenya is a safe country. So to deal with that, it is wrong to see the police walking on this side and criminals walking on this side. Who are those people? I remember that's not policing. You cannot allow other people walking with sticks or with other things, and the police are seeing them. Let those commanders involved in those operations deal with those criminals.
And in that same length and breadth, how hard or easy was it to act on criminals who are politically protected during your time in service?
Let me tell you, issues of policing is challengeful. And that's why you swore an oath to do your work as a police officer. And that's why I said in my opening speech that it's not about the president to tell me what to do, or the CS, or any other commander. I know the law. Every police officer knows the law. And Makanga has talked about AI. These people who have put masks with sticks, with machetes, you mean they are not known? They are known. Let people do their work. You remember when I was in charge of disaster in this country, I brought media platform. Media were being chased away in crime scenes. But I told the media that I'll work with you. You remember what we used to do? Because media do a lot of work. They inform and also they make us understand what's happening on the ground.
Information, yeah.
So it is important.
Okay.
And one thing that the public need to understand, people, I see them even in schools, institutions, they are fixing cameras. Cameras are not to be dead. They have to be live soldiers. When you fix a camera, should be educating you, telling you somebody's coming, somebody's about to do something, so that actions are done live. But you see, in Kenya, those CCTV are used to say this thing happened, but not, they're everywhere in the city. But they must be used for the purpose intended.
Okay. All right.
And we should use what we call research-based and intelligence-led policing.
Fair enough, fair enough.
So let us come to solutions. I think that, number one, we need to hire better when it comes to police officers. The idea of recruiting people after running around a playground is not enough. We need to hire for intelligence. We need to hire for commitment to the rule of law. We need to hire for knowledge. We need to hire people who are smart. Then you need to pay them well.
Yeah.
The training at Kiganjo is you're being trained to see the civilian as an enemy. Raia ni adui. So by the time you're leaving Kiganjo, you're coming to mingle with the larger community, see them as the enemy. That needs to stop. The other thing, we need to deploy police officers in their home villages and in their communities. So if you're going to have a police station, let's say if it's Pangani or it's Maganjo police station or Lamu police station, 40% should be locals. People who come from the community, who speak the language, will not come and start extorting the residents because they're known. I know your mother, I know your brother, I know your sister. Then pay those people very well. The idea of a police officer needing 25,000 shillings or 30,000 shillings, that's not a living wage. That's a slave wage. The other thing is how you house these police officers. They're housed in a very bad way. Wanaishi kwa mikebe. Even watu wanasema, you train someone, putting them in a mabati house. It's just a bad life. The other thing, police independence. The police need a union to fight for their rights. They don't have a union. Because if the police had a union, they would say no to illegal orders. If the police had a way to be able to fight for their own rights, they would never be wearing balaclavas going to kill citizens by orders of some unknown individual or some powerful politician. But furthermore, there's a need also to ensure that the rise of gangs in this country in the last 2 years has come at the same time when people are saying Ruto must go. The proliferation of gangs, the abductions, the disappearances came around the same time young people said Ruto must go. So for the militia and the goons to end in this country, Ruto has to go. That is a solution. Because it's true, the abductions are happening in the name of the president. The killings happen in the name of the president. So for the killings to end, for the abductions to end, Ruto must go. He must be a one-term president, and he's the abductor-in-chief, he's the mission-in-chief, because on June 25th, people were abducted outside Parliament. In full glare of cameras, they were found 3-4 days later tortured and harmed. So the person harming people in this country and the people who is giving illegal orders is the president. And I also think that IG Kanja should be very, very careful. And this year, Amin and Nurdin, because when Ruto goes, we are going to hold those commanders accountable and the junior officers. You spoke about the two Indians who were killed during Uhuru's time. The officers who were involved in that operation, Kenya Wildlife Service officers, National Intelligence officers, National Police Service officers, DC officers were all arrested, then caught. The police who are carrying out illegal orders, let me tell you, power ends. Murkomen will not be there in a year's time. He will be go. The same way Matiang'i left and the people who were doing abductions were arrested. The same thing is going to happen in a year's time, that the people who are doing these abductions are going to be held accountable. And finally, as a country, as he said, Eric said very well, we must be very careful of the leaders that we elect. If someone is a known goon sponsor or someone who funds violence, do not vote for them because they are going to kill your children and they're going to harm this country. We have no other country, so we must fight for it.
Okay.
And as we fight for our country, let's fight for the rights of police officers. Walipwe vizuri, wache kushikwa mkebe, na waendelee kuwa wafanye kazi wafuate sheria kabisa.
Well, what about this issue of transferring incompetency? A police officer caught perhaps meddling in crime or whatnot, we hear they've been transferred to another area instead of cracking the whip.
So the thing about, the police protect themselves and they can never investigate themselves. There's a need, if a police officer is actually found committing a crime or is incompetent, they should not be transferred. They should be fired. And I think I've remembered something else. So every single police station should have a crime board. Outside the police station, how many crimes have happened in the area? Break-ins, burglary, phone snatching, rape, murder. And so that you know the OCS of this area, if they're not working, if crime continues going high, you don't transfer incompetence, you fight the incompetence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. First of all, I wanted to say that when you go to school or go to the university, you are going to acquire skills that are going to help you. And I believe that even when you are graduating, they usually say they are being given the power to read, which means you are giving the power to go and think and see how you can get to create opportunities to help you. Yeah. Number two, I believe that some of these cases, if you want to deal with them again, anthropology actually will help us to get to know what is happening, because that is, you are going to study the society and the things that are affecting society. So anthropology is a very good course that will help us understand the reason why we are having crime in some specific areas. So these cases, these causes are very important. I just wanted to correct that, because somebody said that, Eric, you were in that panel where people were saying this, but you know very well that that is not true. So I had to correct that.
Okay.
Secondly, the problem we are having in this country is we've given too much powers to politicians. And that is our major undoing. That we believe that the politician has got all the solutions to our problem. And I know from where I sit, a politician is a very selfish person. Politicians look at what is benefiting that politician. And therefore, if we give too much powers to the politicians, like what we've done our governance structure is, we'll find ourselves in such a situation. Because a politician will not want to confront a problem. A politician will not want to create jobs for the youth, because if he creates a job for the youth, this youth will not be there the following day to accompany him to the rally. So that's why I was saying that we have got a problem with our systems of government, governance, how they are set. So is there something that we must have a national conversation around? How are we going to take power from the politician? When you see a politician, and what the youth have actually realized, they have realized that these guys are stealing too much money from our public coffers. So what do? You also go and levy a tax on them for any service that you render to them, and you hang around them because you believe politicians have the money. And that's what politicians want, because when they empower you, that politician will be in problem the following day. So it's something that we must also start encouraging the citizens to start asking them questions. And how else can we get the power that a politician has and take it? Because that's when we'll start addressing our problems. Because you talk about crime in specific areas, and sometimes you're also saying that the officers who are in charge of those particular areas are to blame. Sometimes you find that the OCS in a particular area is so powerless that a politician decides that, no, if you are going to arrest the youth, because they call the youth, if you are going to arrest my people, I'll make sure you are transferred. You remember there's a time when a politician, again in Western Kenya, stood in a public forum and said that OCS of this particular station will make sure that tomorrow we are not in that station. You see, obviously you are instilling fear in that politician, in that officer. So this officer will start fear that, vijana wenye walifanya crime juzi ni vijana wa mtu fulani, ukiguza utatolewa. So you see, those are some of the things that we are having. So if you deal with it at the top, that you go for the politician that is encouraging crime and obstructing the officers from doing their job, then we'll address it. Because the politics of mutu wangu, you see that even recruitment of police, you will realize that when the recruitment is being done, the sons of who and who are people who are being given the opportunities to serve in the police. So when they go there, they do not have that inspiration, they do not have that drive and desire that I am getting in here to serve my country. He's going to get a job to earn a salary, but at the end of the day, they go home. And so it's a problem that we must start thinking, how do we transform and reform all our systems, all the way from all the institutions, so that even IPOA is there, but look at it. Can it hold officers to account, officers who have been accused of abusing their power? No, because, again, we're given this by the Constitution, but again, the power is taken away because you realize there's also rely on the officers to do these investigations. Even officer who has, because even us as the journalists, we've tried even to sue officers, because when you follow the normal criminal process, these officers are the same officers who are supposed to investigate the officers who have been accused of violating the rights of journalists. So we've decided in some cases to go to private prosecution way, so that we are able to hold these officers to account. And it has worked. But if you go to some of the institutions that have been established by the public to ensure that some of these officers are held accountable, they can't. Because again, it's the same officer they are relying to do investigation. And when they do show the investigation. So by the time the file goes to the ODPP, the file can actually, the charges cannot be taken into court because there are no sufficient evidence, or there are some loopholes in the file. So those are some of the things that are happening.
And perhaps just to drive the point home, we had that only 3 out of the over 60 deaths that happened in 2024, only 3 active cases are in court. So it definitely points to the systemic challenges we're facing. 2 or 3 more comments as we finalize. Yeah.
Very well. Jesse, in my opinion, we are all goons.
How?
And we are.
Look at the faces looking at you. They don't
I
agree.
will come to that.
I'll protect you. Don't worry.
And if we are not goons, we are the ones funding the goons. It's only that an opportunity has not presented to us to make us goons or the funders of goons. In that case, a balanced approach should be used to solve this matrix. We have shared details on the root causes of goonism, proliferation, and its resilience. We've seen that certain people take part as cartels in the recruitment of the criminal gangs. From where we sit, we should take part in understanding the root causes of these criminal gangs. Let's look at the problem and the actors of the problem, so that we can have a multifaceted way of solving it. Otherwise, we will be beating drums, yet no one will listen to the music. Let's go to the real root cause and focus on it. Let us understand the dynamics on when it happens, how it happens, who is the main actor. Then we press the button.
And as you finalize, through your research, is there an increase in cases of criminal activities as we near the general election?
Yes. That is why we have scheduled studies on combating criminal gangs during election period.
Okay.
So we want to liaise with NCIC, IBC, and other stakeholders so that we can help in combating these criminal activities during these times of election. I submit.
Okay, 1 more voice or 2 more final.
Thank you very much. I think all that starts and ends well is that which has served us. I've heard voices from us saying that we are in a way responsible for what is happening in our country. Our silence or our noises may not be the right thing to do, but our rational approach to what is happening in this country is what is going to help this country go forward. We may point fingers at the president, but the president is not in the parliament. So where are laws passed? We may point fingers at the president, but the president is not in the judiciary. The president is not in the marketplace. Who is in the marketplace? Is it not us? So I think we should, somebody is saying the buck should not stop at us, but I would say that the complaint should also start with us so that we know where we have gone wrong and retrace our paths to where we can begin and take our country forward. For the young people, I would say this. We have an opportunity to relook our education systems. What did you learn in school? How are you applying it? And what is your profession? And what is your passion? Jesse, I want to give an example with you. When you are my parishioner, a young boy coming up, I could see that you had a desire to become a journalist. I could see you beginning to practice what you are now doing today. How about many young people who started with you and were passionate about something, but today they are still waiting to be employed? They cannot even, start a blogging company. They cannot even start writing, about issues. I would want to say that young people, yes, you have gone to school, you have skills, you've gone to school, you have knowledge, but are you listening to your passion? Are you listening to something that you can do, which nobody pushes you to do? Okay. If you are not going to do that, then you will wait for somebody to come and give you 200 shillings, buy you alcohol, buy you drugs, and have you cause a lot of chaos in political rallies, including going to places of worship to kill people there or even to cause mayhem there. I would like to plead to us as Kenyans that we need to look at our country and make a resolve that we are not going to allow this country go to dogs just because we are pointing fingers at one another.
Should have started by declaring conflict of interest. He was my reverend way back. So we have 2 minutes. If you could take 1 minute, the young man at the back 1 minute. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. Let's hear the young man speak briefly. Yeah.
Number one, the education system is not working. Number two, abductions started when we said Ruto must go. Judicial killing. And the president, before the president became the president, he said there will be no judicial killings. But when he got to power, 2024, when we said we need accountability, that's where the problem started. Judicial killings happened. We have seen even people die in police custody. We have seen even people getting lost all of a sudden. We have seen people being detained and not presented even to courts. We have seen people in the manner how the police arrest them by beating, putting them behind the boots and stepping at them. That's not what we voted for.
Okay.
We voted for change. And the change comes, Ruto must go.
Well, we'll hold the leaders accountable. Final comments. Pressed of time, unfortunately. Briefly.
Sure. So mine, I can say patriotism is loyalty to the nation and not loyalty to the government. This government will come and go. The next government will come and go. And to our people, to the Kenyans, to the young people, we are the next generation who will own this country. So let us not see it go into ashes. And a country starts from the household. Everyone has a role to play. Tell your kids, tell your husband, tell your wife, let's have this message directly to our people. We only have 1 year to go. We can't see this country going down to ashes because of some few people who are greedy, and they are greedy for themselves, and they are not in the interest of our people. So to the young people, let's remember we have a country in the near future, and our kids have a generation coming. Okay. We need a Kenya in 1,000 years coming. Thank you.
Asante.
Okay,
Pius.
1 minute. I just want to say that let us adhere to rule of law.
Okay.
Let the politicians respect the publics so that the country can remain united, and the state should, and the politicians should leave the professionals to do their work. no interference.
We shouldn't politicize the security sector.
My name is Boniface Mwangi. I'm running for president, and I'll uphold the rule of law.
This is not a campaign platform. Anyway,
The rule of law, I promise.
Thank you, sir. Let's play already. Thank you, sir.
Anyway, gentlemen, thank you so much. I think this was a fruitful, deep, insightful discussion. If the relevant authorities were listening, of which I'm sure they were, they can pick a couple of solutions that have been fronted right here, whether it's research-based, whether it's moral-based from the churches, whether it's the security sector themselves who are speaking, including the presidential aspirants as well. We really appreciate your time and your presence here. It's an ongoing conversation. It doesn't stop when this show ends. Keep the conversation ongoing on social media as well, and trust us as the fourth estate to highlight issues that are of concern to members of the society, because that's the clarion call and why we do this at the end of the day. So hope you had an informative session. That marks the end of tonight's town hall. Thank you so much for watching. But we can't just leave you like that. As members of the fourth estate, we prepared a piece specifically to the head of state, because we've had time and time again, the buck stops with Mr. President. So listen to this letter to Dear Mr. President. Good evening.
Dear